And we're coming to you live for the Built Ford Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Friday morning. A feel-good football Friday ahead of Championship Sunday. And we will find out who will be playing in Super Bowl 58. And the NFL keeps churning, keeps keeping us on our toes as Raheem Morris is the head coach of the Falcons. It's not Bill Belichick. The Panthers hire some guy that was on nobody's radar. And of course, one of the best basketball teams in the league. Yes, they are. They dominated last night. Almost a 40-point victory against the defending champs, who came into the Garden, their last game on a road trip, and just got punched in the face and didn't want to fight back. The Garden is back to being ours. But it's a big football day. We'll get to all the Knicks. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning. I'm a little tired this morning, and I'm sure you are. We had a great night last night at Teller's next door. Just want to say thank you to Michael and Kurt Bolson for hosting our Chalk Talk with Coach Cower. And it was a great night. It exceeded every expectation that I had. The food was unbelievable. The space is ridiculously nice. They couldn't have been any nicer last night. About 100 people showed up, and it was a great event for our foundation, and hopefully you enjoyed yourself.
Oh, my goodness. It was great.
I did, and didn't get much sleep last night, so I'm going to power through. We're going to grind through it today, and I feel like today's going to be a great day because of the football games, of course. And when I got in the car last night, the Knicks were just entering into the fourth quarter, and I said, well, what's that score?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
That was amazing to me. So, and Nikola Jokic, I was looking this morning. I see where he scores 31 points.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, so he does his thing. How the hell did they just absolutely wipe out the defending world champions?
Yeah, I mean, I really think what it was they had a long road trip, the Nuggets. They came in. The Knicks at home against the defending champs had a point to prove. The Nuggets were basically like, I can't wait to get home. The Knicks come in. They're playing defense. They're flying all over the place. They're playing the best basketball of the year. And in that first quarter, they just dominate them. And the Nuggets are like, okay, we can't keep up with this today. And the best part about this is, how many years did we sit here and watch every single superstar in basketball come into the Garden and have a career night? And they take it over. And they say, oh, the Mecca, this is the greatest. And 50 for this guy, and 60 for that guy, and 40 and 15 for this guy. So you're used to that. So when Jokic comes in, you're thinking, oh, this guy's going to have 45, 18, and 7 blocks, But no, not anymore. Not anymore, as they are defending the home court, and it was just awesome. So that's what I think it was. I think that in a long regular season, you're a team like the Nuggets who played all the way to the end last year and won a championship, and the Knicks came out with more want to, and the Nuggets just laid down after that first quarter.
Yeah,
that's what I think happened.
Hit a couple big early threes, I guess, and then I guess it was the OG Anunoby night.
Yeah.
Because I did, of course, listening to it, and all of a sudden the crowd starts going, OG, OG, they're screaming for him.
Yeah.
And then you look at the stats, and you can see that he had a great night. And it was, it's great, man. I'm telling you, the Knicks have done this a couple times now, where they have just absolutely blown out somebody. And I think it was Portland was the last time they did it. And what's more important...
And Portland sucks. This is the Nuggets, so it's even more impressive.
What's more important is that they held them to 84 points. Now, I don't know what the hell... I mean, Mike Malone, Jerry played a cut yesterday from Mike Malone, their coach, saying exactly what you just said. Back end of the trip, guys miss home. We gotta kind of somehow find the energy to play. I was like leading us right down a path with breadcrumbs, saying that his team was going to play like crap last night.
Yeah, and basically not even show up. I mean, they didn't even show up, but hell, the Knicks had to take care of business. They did. I mean, I don't think this was the Nuggets team that we're going to see in the playoffs, obviously, but it's just another feather in their cap. It shows you that, when they're on and they're playing like this, they're not messing around. And it doesn't matter who you are anymore. And that's the exciting part of what this team could potentially do in the postseason is you feel like they can compete with anybody with the way that they're playing.
I have to tell you, so I turn on the radio, and I'm like, okay, I know Monica McNutt's voice. Mm-hmm. I'm like, that's John Giannone? It was John Giannone and Monica McNutt last night on the radio.
All right.
And they did a good job, man. It was really good. I thought it was good. It was very relaxed. They both know exactly what they're talking about, and I kind of enjoyed it. It was, and especially with the score. I mean, that was just a nice thing. And, after all what we had just been through, 3 hours of football talk and everything else,
Yeah.
my head was spinning. So I needed to have a little bit of a calm down moment.
Sure.
And it was nice just to listen to a Knick blowout, especially against a team as good as Denver. I mean, wow. I mean, and what are they, 12-2 now since OG Anunoby has been added to the roster? And, they still are not playing with the two starting centers.
Yeah.
Or the starting center and the backup center.
And generally when the football season ends and the Super Bowl is over, the last number of years, you're thinking, man, we just have a long way to go till the baseball teams. But nope, not anymore. You've got 3 hockey teams that have designs on going deep into the playoffs, and you've got the New York Knicks that they are a story during the regular season.
Told you, man, this is the best team they've had since 2000.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. The 99 team went to the finals, and since that time, it's just been a grind. And this team led by Julius Randle over the last couple of years has made it to the playoffs. They played tough, and then, unfortunately, they run into a brick wall into the playoffs. Now, Saturday at 3 o'clock, they do play the Miami Heat. I mean, Saturday. And the Heat, I think, got blown out last night at home. So you would think that game is going to be a little bit more competitive than last night's game is or was.
Sure. No, and absolutely, I would expect that as well. But, yeah, so that you don't have the same type of desperation when the Super Bowl is over because we've got so many really good local stories, especially, with the Rangers and Knicks and what's going on at the Garden. Had a little bit of it last year, got a really good taste of it, and I think it's even going to be more special this year into the spring, which will be great because the Mets are not trying to win this year, so we'll at least have maybe into the spring some Knicks and some Rangers to talk about.
Yes.
Because Steve Cohen has punted the 2024 season. So there's really nothing exciting about that situation. Yankee fans got Juan Soto. They'll be excited about that. And they can yell at Marcus Stroman. But I'm looking for a deep Knicks run this year. I want to get to the conference finals.
The
That's
question
what
is,
I want to see.
will they or can they make a move for somebody that they want to add to this group? That's a big question because, obviously the trade deadline is coming up. And maybe they're going to make one trade. That's it. We'll see, and they're expecting now Mitchell Robinson to be back later on in the season. And it'll be interesting to see if he does play, what happens to the flow of the team. It's interesting. The Ravens should get back tight end Mark Andrews, and he is a great tight end. He's a great player. He's been their best offensive player since he's gotten there, really, other than Lamar. And now all of a sudden he's been out for, 10 weeks, and he's going to be able to play come Sunday. And I always wonder about, okay, here comes a star back, and they've been playing so well without him. He should make the team better, but does it in any way upset the flow of the team?
Yeah, and I do think that with football, it's a little bit different. In basketball, the mix that they have right now is perfect. It's absolutely perfect. And I would imagine that Leon Rose is thinking, I'm not jamming someone else in here unless I'm completely right about this. And maybe I'll wait to the offseason, see what happens in the playoffs, see what we need. I think that's probably the more likely route because right now, you can't argue with what they're doing. I know that you want another guy to put it over the top, but I also don't want to force it. There's just two schools of thought. There's one which is go for it now. This team is playing unbelievable, and if there's somebody available at the trade deadline, you think you can actually win a championship, then you go and do it. But I would not mess with the crazy chemistry that they have going on right now.
The other thing with the fact that Thibodeau only plays 9 players, if you do acquire somebody, are you moving somebody that is in that collective 9 players right now that is going to be moved out of there?
Probably,
so
yeah.
That's what you got to wonder about if they do trade something. He's not going to play 10 or 11 players. Just not going to do it. That's not what he does.
That's right.
He plays these guys and runs them into the ground. They're all athletes. Why not play them? There's no Giancarlo Stanton's on the team. Maybe Mitchell Robinson is that because he tends to get hurt a lot.
Yeah, but when he plays well. Whereas Giancarlo Stanton, when he's healthy, he doesn't always play well. And he goes in these deep slumps and everything. But, yeah, Mitchell Robinson's got to stay healthy. He's just never healthy. And him being out hasn't killed them up until this point. But his presence and coming back could be the thing that gets them to win 2 rounds this year as opposed to 1. And I'm probably, as you always say, getting a guy back like that, it's like making a big acquisition at the trade deadline.
Yeah.
It kind of is with Mitchell Robinson.
Well, let's see when they get there. Let's see what happens. You never know what happens, in the playoffs. And I think in the NBA, you can almost expect certain teams to move on, but then you do have those really, really competitive, like the Heat and the Knicks. You have really competitive games. And, I think this Knicks team he's got the right mix of youth and experience, guys right in the middle of their prime, and guys, knowing their roles on this basketball team. And as long as Jalen Brunson is healthy and that ball is moving, they're going to be a tough out. They're going to really be a tough out.
And the other thing that you have to count on is Julius Randle not turning into a pumpkin in the postseason. We have seen him in a lot of postseason spots not be the same guy as the regular season, and this year has to be different. If they're going to go deeper into the playoffs, he has to be as consistently good there as he has been in the regular season, and that would be new for him. So that is one thing that's a little bit scary, is we have not seen a great Julius Randle in the postseason. And if you get that, then the Eastern Conference is going to have to watch out. But if he does that like hero ball, isolation, I got to take over the game, pressure's on me, I can't handle it crap in the playoffs like we've seen the last couple of years, then forget about it. And they're not going anywhere. But I've got faith because he has been playing his ass off. It's the best he's looked. This guy is he's phenomenal. I got nothing bad to say about Julius Randle right now. He's been phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So the other thing, and we'll get into it now, that was huge, and I asked Coach Cower this at the event last night at Tellers, and something we've been talking about, obviously, is why Bill Belichick is still available as the Atlanta Falcons hire Raheem Morris and don't go with Bill Belichick. And he said something that was really interesting. And he said that, is Bill Belichick coaching because he wants to win another Super Bowl, or is he coaching just because he wants to get the record? And I said, wow, that is a really, so Bill Belichick, there could be a thought. Now, Bill's not saying that that's what Bill Belichick is doing. He's saying that there are owners thinking that maybe he's just hopping onto an organization to get the wins record and just really won't care about building a team and then getting them where they need to be for sustained success. And I thought that was a fascinating answer.
I would say, again, and I have been saying it, it's very difficult to hire a coach of this stature because he's going to want to do it the way he wants to do it, and that means people that are in organizations are going to have to be fired. And it didn't sound like Arthur Blank was willing to do that, but Arthur Blank did make a change with Rich McKay and took him away from the football side of things and put him back on the business side of things, meaning that he obviously listened to Bill Belichick. So the conversation that he had with Arthur Blank, I would imagine Arthur probably used it as kind of a consultant meeting. Let me hear what you have to say about my team and my situation and how we run things here. And I guarantee you, this is why it's hard to hire a guy like this. He probably went in there and said, okay, this is, what I probably need for my contract. This is what I need for all my assistant coaches. This is who I want to bring with me. And you have this building that has 1 million leaks in it. And I do not want to deal with all these people in this building that are trying to save their own ass. That's why the leaks were coming out, this past week, at that building. There they are. And that's not something that Bill Belichick is going to want to go into unless that can get handled immediately. Now, Raheem Morris gets the job, and all of a sudden there's some movement around within the building, and one guy's leaving the football side, going to the business side, and blah, blah, and all this other stuff that I'm sure Bill Belichick opened the eyes to the owner of maybe some of the things that he needed to do internally to get things right. And maybe that makes it better for Raheem Morris to be able to run the team the way that he wants to run it. That's really the important thing. And the thing about Raheem is that he had a good year with the Rams as their defensive coordinator. This is the second time around for him. So hopefully he learned from his previous spot and now can be the coach that he wants to be, and he's got a pretty good young team. They just have to find, of course, a quarterback to play for that young team.
So Bill Belichick is not going to coach this year. He's not going to be the head coach of the Seahawks. He's not going to be the head coach of the Commanders. So he is not going to be coaching in 2024, which means that if you are a coach on the hot seat in 2024, Bill Belichick is going to be over your shoulder, and there are going to be owners out there that maybe in this hiring cycle weren't thinking about it, but after a bad year, things not working out again, maybe year 3 of a rebuild that's not working out here, all of a sudden, I'm coming home. I'm coming home.
Yeah, I know. You never know.
Tell the world. So, yeah, I mean, that, and I love Brian Daboll. I've made no bones about that. I think he is awesome. I want him to succeed. However, the reality is this. He and everybody around him is thinking the same thing. That if we don't have a good year, and it's going to be hard for them to have a good year unless they have an all-time draft and offseason and everything works out and they somehow go to the playoffs. If they do not have a good year, everybody's going to be talking about that.
You just tell me who their starting quarterback is going to be for the first month of the season. You think it will be Daniel Jones? You think he'll be ready to go?
I don't know. I mean, with that injury, I don't know. And I would say probably better than 50%. But if it's not, then what the hell are you? I mean, what are you doing? It's
right, and they become a staff that is going through a rebuild right now. They're going through an offensive side rebuild. They're going through a defensive side rebuild. It's like they're starting over too as a staff, and they're going into year 3. And they're not like it's like they're losing guys because they were successful. They're losing guys because there was dysfunction.
That's right.
So that plays into all of this. And hopefully Brian Daboll gets the coaches he wants in here to be, the defense coordinator, to be, all the offensive coaches that he wants. It seems like he's adding guys that he feels comfortable with now. And maybe they weren't available the first time around. But I'm telling you, they go 6-11, they go 5-12. And it's another lost year with another situation like we've been down before, like it feels like 1,000 times with the Giants.
And Bill Belichick is available?
Yes.
As a free agent coach? And John Maris says, wait a second, Bill Belichick can break the coaching wins record wearing Giants gear? How do you say no? How do you say no?
That's why the pressure is on. There's no question about that. And Rob Saleh got 3 years, and really amazingly has only won 18 games. But I think the reality is the coach and the owner and the general manager all realized that it came down to one Achilles injury, and they weren't going to hold him really accountable once that happened. And, quite frankly, he got a break, because most owners are impatient.
Yeah.
And now he and his staff and the Daboll staff have got to win this year. I think the Jets are a little bit better set up, assuming that Aaron comes back and he's healthy and he's everything we expect him to be, and their defense is good. I mean, the Giants, I don't know what to expect from them at this moment as we sit here right now.
I mean, they've got nobody on offense. I mean, especially if Saquon's not there, they don't have any weapons. Nothing. There's no talent there. It's crazy. I mean, they probably have the worst situation from a talent standpoint on offense in football. I mean, and I don't think it's even close. I mean, that is their biggest problem. I mean, so how are you going to win and save your ass when your roster sucks?
I mean, the quarterback regressed significantly this year.
Yeah.
And got hurt twice. I'd like to know what the plan. I obviously I don't know, and they're not going to tell us. I wish I could be a fly on a wall to figure out what they're talking about and how they're going to fulfill the most important position in football. And that kind of leads me, before we go to break, this week, or I should say last week, Patrick Mahomes got hit once in 41 plays, scored 27 points. They should have scored 31 points. And there wasn't one pre-snap penalty in Buffalo, as loud a stadium as there is in the NFL. Now, they got to go on the road against Baltimore this week against a much better defense. It'll put a lot more pressure on them. But the point being is that how would the Giants even stack up against any one of these 4 teams that are semifinalists here?
Yeah, not even close. I mean, they're not even close. I mean, if you think about it, too, it's not like the the Detroit Lions. I mean, they were a team that didn't make the playoffs last year, and then they came back. Now they're in the championship game. I don't think the Giants would have a shot against them. I mean, and then we're talking about, Jared Goff and Brock Purdy being the two quarterbacks in the NFC, and just the way those teams are built around those guys. I mean, that's why they're as good as they are with two very good head coaches. And the Giants are they're miles and miles behind from a roster standpoint. It's just, it's bad, especially on the offensive side of the ball. All right, Boomer and Gio on the